Hi, I'm Jody, and this is Trek Mods. And this is the Discovery Enterprise kit from Polar Lights. So I asked my family for this for Christmas. We do like a Secret Santa, and we draw each other's names and get each other one gift. And my brother-in-law was so kind and got this for me. So I got a little antsy waiting for it. So what I did was I went around the house and I gathered up some materials, lids, containers, stuff like this. It's been a while since I made any models. Always been into Star Trek. When I was a teenager, I had the Enterprise D kit. I had the Voyager. I had the Romulan Warbird. That was like 35 years ago. I built them as per the instructions, threw a little bit of paint on, had them hang around for a few years. It was pretty cool. I haven't done any real model kits since then. So I was excited to start making the Discovery Enterprise. I was watching an episode of Trek Yards, and they were talking about the Enterprise when it was first revealed at the end of Discovery Season 2. And Samuel mentioned, I'd like to see it as a refit. So that's what I thought I would do. But while I was waiting for that to come, I made this. This is the U.S.S. Reclamation. And it's called the Reclamation because it's made from reclaimed material, like this medicine bottle, which is the secondary hull. A couple of these food container lids, which makes up the saucer section, top and bottom. Right? These furniture scratch markers here, which are actually pretty cool. When you cut the end off, you get a nice detail there inside. Pop this off here. Take a look there. So you get this cool kind of cone here. That makes a perfect end cap for a nacelle. So I had these white pens. Just took a little chunk off the cap there. And this kind of really fits on here. Don't even need any glue. Glue being the only thing I purchased to make this starship. So we got the impulse drive here, made from, bits of plastic, gift cards, whatever I can get my hands on. Now the neck is the lid from one of these Gorilla Glue bottles. So I just heated that, squished it down into the shape I wanted. And you got yourself a starship neck. And speaking of that, the top of it here gives you a nice kind of detail. So I used the top of one of those for the bridge and for the center dome at the bottom here. So we got a nice deflector dish. Now the inside of that is a tiny rim from a little RC car that I had. I had this light that's, straps onto your head. And then this is the cap from that light. Some detail in there. I don't know if you can get rid of that reflection. Okay, so we got a light fixture in there from another old RC truck. This kind of screws right on there. So, if I ever have to try to repair a wire or something like that. The end caps for the nacelles here, these are also from a little RC truck. They're the rims. And we had these costume jewelry, bracelets kicking around with these plastic crystals on them. So that's what I used here. The stand reading light from the dollar store. My dad had it, used it for years and years. Then we got the pole here, which is a stylus. Old stylus that I dismantled. So we're going to turn the lights off. Just old Christmas lights in there. Wired together. My wiring's pretty crude. The paint job on this pretty crude. It's all brush painted. I didn't have an airbrush at the time. So this lamp has 3 brightness settings. Maybe we'll just keep it in the middle there so we don't wash out the camera too much. It's not bad. Like, you can even use it as a flashlight if you needed to. So let's get a look at the bridge here with that Gorilla Glue lid. I had my kid print out the registration for me with the little compact printer that they got for Christmas. Looks pretty good. I'm happy with it. I like it. For the RCS thrusters, I just kind of made stickers. I had some white vinyl. I painted it yellow. Some detail there with a Sharpie. This crystal kind of lights up. Didn't really get as much light in there as I wanted to, but it's not bad. Don't mind it. Look at it from the side here. So we had this container here, and I actually had the same thing in a blue version. So that's what we got inside there to light that up. Unfortunately, one of my lights burnt out, but it's not too difficult of a repair. I can get in there and replace that LED if I ever get around to it, if I have time, because lately I've been busy and busy and busy. So this, yes, the USS Reclamation. The hangar door there, just another piece of this, cut and bent. Kind of cut this, added some reinforcement on the strong back there. These nacelle pylons are just these, dollar store plastic palette knife for painting. The handle has this kind of cool shape. You can see what's left over here after I used it. And yeah, as I said, this was the first model that I made in 35 years, and it's not even a kit. So let's get to the kit. Just get this out of the way. The Discovery Enterprise, Pike's Enterprise. Here she is. Now I can take it off the stand because my lights failed, so it's not wired to the stand. It was glorious. When I was building it, I had it wired, and I was putting this last piece in, and I didn't realize that I had a wire protruding through, and I popped it. All the lights in the ship went out except for this one nacelle. If you look at my previous video, Pike's Enterprise Refit, I made kind of like a slideshow of my progress. There's a few photos in there of the light tests. You can kind of see it. So all the refit components on this, again, this is my 3D printer. Pieces of plastic, glue, X-Acto knives. That's what I'm working with here. So we got the impulse deck there. So there's one of those little plastic crystals like I showed you here on the top inside this. And when it was lit, it was nice. It's painted blue on the underside, so it lights up blue. And I took the grill from an earbud and used that for the cover. This is just crafted, fabricated out of little pieces of plastic. Some thick plastic here, clear parts for the impulse drive. So we got 4 impulse drives there. We got a little piece of, it's not fiber optic, but my kid has a 3D pen, and I got a piece of the clear filament, and I used it the same way you would use it. You would use the fiber optic. So that lights up that little docking area. Well, at least it did. Made the torpedo launcher out of cards. again, stuff like this. Old gift cards, flat stock. Got some red in there. It was great. It looked really nice. So this dish, I made this. It's got some blue on the inside. And I don't know if you can see that texture in there. But we kind of have the little antenna in the middle like the old Enterprise would. This lights up beautifully. It's blue when it's lit, and it's white right now. This is made out of the bottom of a little small Crazy Glue bottle. So we made the lower sensor dome here. So I didn't use the domes for the Bussard collectors because, as you can see, I narrowed those nacelles. I just took like a 1/4 inch of material out from the middle of it, cut those domes in half, made this divider piece here to kind of cover that seam, make it look a little bit like the Enterprise Refit original nacelles. We got the copper paint on the grills here, just on the surface, and when it lights up, it glows a beautiful blue. We got some I did manage to get a hold of some fiber optics. I had an old optic audio cable for the PlayStation, which was broken, so I stripped it out and I took the fiber optic out and I used it. Red, green navigation lights. Here's the fun part, the bridge dome. This is the other end cap from the other nacelle, which I didn't use there. So I tried my best to do the refit sort of style bridge. We got a little detail in the back there with the docking ring. We got the officer's lounge window. I cut that, inserted the window with some clear plastic. Beautiful lights when it worked. So sad. Fiber optic light here. This lights up beautifully. We have a small window section that I left open, but I closed off that big bridge window that you see on the Discovery Enterprise, because you don't see that on the original refit. So those are cut out clear. This is just filled with glue to, you know, look like it's just not empty, so you don't see the lights in there. Painted this yellow on the inside so it glows a really beautiful yellow. We got the Arboretum windows put in there. I didn't even bother putting the rest of the decals on when I was doing this because I was pretty frustrated after breaking the lights. I was heartbroken. This little detail at the back of the neck there, I just kind of carved that out with the knife. More fiber optic lights on the back, on the bottom, in the middle. Made this little you know, a couple little pieces of plastic stacked up, glued together. A little fiber optic bit in there. I cut these bottom grill windows out just because I saw some reference pictures online where it looked like they were lit up, and I saw other ones where it didn't look like they were lit up. This was blue. I have a blue piece of material in the back. All the lights in here are just white lights. They're not colored LEDs. When I want colors, I just paint the light so that it's the color I want it to be. Now, I always found the saucer of this was a little thin, so I added a piece of plastic around the edge here. This was very tedious to cut out all these windows. It wasn't easy. We got our little RCS thrusters here. Focus top and bottom. So yeah, this was really fun to build. Heartbroken that the lights didn't work, But, you know, I might get another kit. I can't take this apart and repair it because this torpedo launcher thing is a piece that just goes right around this neck, and it's all glued and filled and secured there, so I can't really get that apart. This goes right through the mounting pins for the neck, so even if there was no glue, you still can't take this off without removing this. So this is not coming apart. If I want this lit, like I said, I'm gonna have to get another kit and build it again. So, not to be too discouraged, and being pretty satisfied with the work I did on the refit parts for that Enterprise, I moved on to the NX-01. And I decided to make the NX-01 refit, but I decided to go one better and make the NX-01 refit. So one of the things that always bugged me were these sort of pontoons that came off. It looks great when it's the original NX-01, how those pylons come off of those, everyone calls them pontoons. I don't know what, they really didn't have a name for it in the show. Excuse me. Anyways, I thought I'd get rid of that, because when you add that secondary hull, it sort of makes those kind of redundant. And why wouldn't Starfleet remove that eventually? So that's why I call this a refit, right? So, you know, say they made season 5, they would have had this refit, and then maybe 10-15 years later, if the ship was still in service, maybe some further modifications, and you get rid of those. So I made a lot of this myself also. These nacelle pylons, again, these little handles from these paint things here. I got an airbrush, so this is painted with an airbrush. The details are painted with a small pinstriping brush, but I think my paint turned out quite a bit better than it did on the other two. So we got, you know, the color scheme of the sort of the Enterprise A, sort of bluish gray there. Show you the bottom. So again, like I used those nacelle end caps on this bridge dome and on the lower sensor dome on this one. I didn't use them, so I still had the other inside pieces, and you know, it gives you that little spinny part. So if you buy the light kit, you can have the nacelles animated and spinning. So for this, I use that little inner part inside here for my main deflector dish here. And it's a solid piece, so I kind of sanded it through so it had some holes in it, and we could get some light going through there. Let me just turn this on. Okay, so yeah, I had to make a little switch here for it. I wanted these end caps to be lit up, so I carved that out. This is just pieces of the clear sprue from the kit, and I just kind of filed those, carved them into little you know, sort of cone shapes. Got them in there. We got a light. We got some fiber optics, marker lights. There's no flashers in here. I can't wire. I can't make circuits. These are kind of pre-wired little fairy lights that you just kind of install. So there's not going to be any flashers in here. I can't solder for the life of me. I've been trying to do it for 20 years, and I've just failed and failed and failed every time. So here's our front deflector dish here. See if we can get in there. can't see that. It's hard to see those details. There we go, that's a little better. So yeah, I think that looks pretty cool. It's got some orange and blue and white in there. So this is the bridge dome that you would use for the Discovery Enterprise kit. It's turned inside out. That's my deflector dish there. And again, the inside spinny part of that warp nacelle, that Bussard collector, is inside there. I wish I would have went with the original NX-01 dish here. It's smaller. This one seems a little big. This is the one that you would use if you made the Columbia or the Re-refit. I don't know. I should have went with the other one, but it's glued in there. These little windows were very difficult to drill out, especially the oval-shaped ones. The round ones aren't too bad as long as you have the right size bit and you can get in the right place. You'll get a successful window. So this part here is one of the most difficult parts to do. The kit gives you just like a little pin that you put in there. It's like a little clear pin, and it has that textured detail on there for the warp governing unit, whatever they called it. It's not an impulse crystal at this point, but I decided to make it one. So we got these tiny little crystals from the craft store. So this actually has a little small crystal in there painted blue. And then what I did was I took the kit part that you're supposed to put in there, and I cut the pin off it, and I took a tiny drill bit, and I made this an actual little clear dome with a hole in the center. So you get that nice. It's really way better with your eyes. The camera kind of washes it out a lot. I wish I could figure out how to properly make videos and film things. So yeah, we got the impulse engines just coming right off the saucer there. I just kind of cut those on an angle, made some clear pieces, made those from scratch. The little docking port in the center is the same thing I did on the Pike's Enterprise with the 3D printing filament, using it as a fiber optic kind of cable there. Made a little shuttle bay. I didn't like, once I had this on, it kind of looked empty at the back there. There was like a little step and kind of a flat spot, and it just looked like it was incomplete. So we got a little piece of a bendy straw and a bottle cap there, and I thought I'd make a little shuttle bay and another little light on the back there. So we got our red and green navigation lights. Again, no flashing. We got some fiber optics on those shuttle hatches there. And I like a lit up bridge. I like to, highlight that. So what I did was I took the piece that you use for the bridge and I drilled out the inside of it so that it was so thin that it was almost a clear piece. And a little bit of yellow on the inside. And then the little pin that they give you for the crystal here. I guess they give you a spare one, or maybe I'm supposed to use this somewhere else, but I didn't. It's right there in the center of the bridge. Just, I don't know, a little extra detail, right? Nothing wrong with a little extra detail. I like the way the lights turned out on this. And then the pièce de résistance, as they say. This is just a lamp that I got from the dollar store. It had color changing lights in it, and it was pretty cool to look at. But when you put it on here, it wasn't that cool because your ship is constantly changing colors. It looked like you're in some kind of weird vortex. Anyways, I took those lights out and replaced them with just plain ones. So there, we got a nice little moon there. This rod here, I can move this up and down and extend that or lower it. This is one of those telescopic cigarette things, you know, like the penguin would have. Batman, one of those. It just happened to be 5 millimeters. Fits right in there. So there we go, the NX-01 refit. If you check my channel, I got some clips. Like I said at the beginning, this is kind of my first video where I'm actually talking and showing you things. I'm not crazy about the sound of my own voice, and it feels weird standing here in my kitchen talking to myself. But I had to show you this. So we've got Excelsior coming up next. I've got some ideas for this. I think we're going to modify this deflector dish so it's more of the same shape of the hull. And I've been watching a lot of you guys on YouTube building these models and learning so much from you guys and getting tips and tricks. And I just love it. It's great. It's such a fun hobby, and I love seeing what everyone else makes. And I love learning from you guys. And we're just going to do this. I got the Reliant coming up next. And the Enterprise D again. Those are on the way. Excelsior is next. And I'd like to try to maybe make a build series of videos if I can. I'm going to have my kid teach me how to do stuff like this. Edit videos and, you know, properly speak to an audience and things like that. So in the meantime, check this out. See what I've done. I'm going to be making more stuff. Everyone keep making stuff. Keep loving Star Trek. And that's it. Have a good one.